All right, guys. With that down, let's move on and talk about this, shall we? Last night was the finale, episodes 9 through 12, or no, 10 through 12, I should say, of Andor. It's not just the season finale, it's the series finale. And I remember thinking to myself, how do you follow up episodes 7, 8, and 9? Which I've said are 2.5 hours, maybe the best 2.5 hours of Star Wars we've ever had in the last couple of decades, ever since Return of the Jedi. How do you follow that up? And they followed it up perfectly. Listen, everybody's going to talk about episodes 7, 8, and 9. I get that. I understand that. When a year or two from now, when I look back on Andor, Rob, the parts that are going to haunt me are episodes 10, 11, and 12. These are the episodes that are going to haunt me. This is where Andor elevated itself to fucking Godfather levels. Like this whole thing, like the first episode is just all Clea having to devise this intricate Mission Impossible kind of break into a hospital just to kill the one person in the whole universe she loves. And that's her whole mission. Get in there and kill Luthen, because that's what he would want. Don't let him talk. And she does it, the whole thing. And then at the end, the head of the ISB killing himself, Deidre ending up in the same prison that we saw Andor in season 1. And by the way, there is a moment, Rob, I hope you caught it in that finale, like when he comes and says, I've been sent to bring you down. He says, just give me a moment to collect my thoughts. And he puts his gun on the table. The camera shifts to outside the room where the guy's standing there facing the stormtroopers. He knows what's about to happen.
No, yeah.
And then you hear the gunshot go off, and the stormtroopers start to react, and he just goes, I physically shook. I'm sitting there in my living room, and I'm going, I just literally shook. The whole, listen, say whatever you want. In the original Star Wars, we see the Death Star blow up Alderaan, but we never saw the people on Alderaan. We never saw children playing in the parks. We never saw people going about their daily lives. It was literally a hunk of rock in space, and the Death Star blew it up. Okay. Star Wars has never done as good of a job as Andor has done to give us an understanding about why this empire had to be stopped. Like they just, even in the original trilogy, the empire is evil. All right. Okay. But Andor has made us feel it. They've made it tangible. They made it like something we can actually touch and emotionally feel and experience. Like that one flashback when Luthen's with a young Clea, and just the Imperial thinks, well, somebody did something bad, so we got to make an example out of these locals here. And they just drag down a couple of people, including a child, and like murder them in the city square. Anyway, this whole thing, this whole finale, and then the way it ends with him flying off to go where we first meet him in Rogue One was a perfect. And by the way, how perfect was K2SO?
Oh,
K2SO. Oh my God. Would you like to know how many regulations we've broken? No, 17. Just turn off the radio. 18. He was so perfect. I was so glad my only wish is that they brought him back earlier, but I understand the timing of it. Listen, I've said this, Rob, before. I will say it again. Bob Iger, do whatever you fucking need to do to keep Tony Gilroy on the property. Do not, I don't care if you got to kidnap his kids. I don't care if you've got to, I don't know, bribe him with 50% ownership stake in Disney. Do whatever you need to do, Bob Iger. You find a way to keep Tony Gilroy in the house, because I don't think anybody has handled Star Wars better since George Lucas himself back in the 1980s. That was it. So, Rob, at the end of the day, Andor is an absolute masterpiece to me. And I'm going to go out on a limb right now. Andor is going to win Best Drama Series at the Emmys. Andor's going to win Best Drama. I'll call it right now, and we'll go from there. Anyway, what did you think about the finale?
Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, PrizePicks. What a great time to be a sports fan. Basketball playoffs are on. Hockey playoffs are on. It is the perfect time to jump into the action with PrizePicks, the easiest and most fun way to turn your sports knowledge into real winnings. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made really simple. Just pick more or less on a few player projections, like points, assists, goals, and you can win up to 2,000 times your money. For example, this week I've got Jalen Brunson for more than 24.5 points, or Jason Tatum for more than 6.5 rebounds. I love how fast and easy it is to lock in a lineup in just under a minute. Plus, they've got a couple of weekly features, like, for example, Flex Friday. If your lineup doesn't win, you get your net losses back in promo funds. And every Tuesday, check out Taco Tuesday for discounted player projections up to 25% off. So download the app today and use the code Campea to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Campea to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game.
Oh, dude, I was astonished. I mean, the end of episode 10 was, I mean, I knew what was going to happen. But when that long lingering shot before they dissolved out of it, I was just sitting there stunned. And I was so, I've said Star Wars has been stuck in an animation mindset because Dave Filoni controlled the animation and the Clone Wars and all of that it was great stuff, but it works really well in animation, whether it's Rebels, Bad Batch. Star Wars has never grown up. And what Andor did, I mean, it's almost 50 years old and it's had a long adolescence. But Andor has grown Star Wars up, along with the audience that grew up with it if you're a first-generation Star Wars fan. And I was watching this show, and it was so smart, and it expected so much of its audience. I loved seeing something where the creator, the creator knew that we could rise up to his level and their level. And I have to tell you, I'm watching this whole show, and that montage at the end, when you saw the Force healer that Bix took Andor to, it's just that quick shot and the recognition, and he nods at her, and she's like, she knew she was in the right place when she saw him, because it was like, are we going to Yavin? And I lost it. That's when the tears started streaming down my eyes, and I'll tell you, I'm sitting there watching the credits, right? And I don't know if everyone sat through the credits, but then the Star Wars music kicks in. The actual Star Wars end credit music from the original Star Wars. And any tears I had just started up again. And I'm like, oh my God. And the whole thing about it, and of course, seeing how it came full circle with Bix and all that. And then I'm just sitting there stunned. And I even watched like all the different languages, that it had been translated into. And I'm just sitting there stunned. And then it turns off. And immediately the Rogue One thing comes on. Watch Rogue One next. And I'm like, I started watching it. I'm just like, I'm going to go watch these 3 episodes again. Because like you said, it was a masterpiece of storytelling. And someone wrote in, well, this wouldn't have worked if it wasn't in the Star Wars universe. And I think the reason it's great is because, yes, it could have. You could have set this
100%. This could have been a World War I espionage story
on a different planet and created all new iconography and told this. The great thing about this story is it universally works. It's about rebellions throughout human history. It was about us, as all great stories are. And I think it made Star Wars, for the most part, connect with its human audience the way it hasn't in a long, long time. And this show is going to stand the test of time. I mean, it resonated. And seeing Dedra, I mean, in that quick shot, and you kind of, just a couple of shots, you have a close-up, and you pull back, and you see exactly where she is, and you're like, oh, man. Because she was so loyal. It wasn't her fault. I felt bad for her because the Empire needed her. Too bad. Bye-bye, Dedra. Wow.
But I mean, but she made the mistake, right? Like she made the mistake. She put that stuff on her computer. She went after access when she didn't have authorization.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one of the most intense moments too. It's like she's getting interrogated by Krennic. And she says, we need to shut these down. We need to do this. And he steps back in and he grabs her head. And he's like, we'll just have to do without you. As he and you can tell she's terrified.
Krennic is my second favorite Star Wars villain behind Vader. He
so
supplanted the Emperor for me. It used to be Vader Palpatine. Now it's Vader Krennic Palpatine. I love it.
How great was that quick little scene too in the ISB office when it's just Krennic and the head of the ISB, and like Krennic's like, I can't protect you. It's like, so these guys obviously have a history.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And then he says, good luck to us both. And even just Krennic you can tell Krennic respects him. Krennic just gives him the little nod and out the door. And by the way, we got to touch on, so who's the baby? Who's the baby? Because I don't think they show that shot at the end unless they've got something in mind. Now, I've already seen some theories online saying, the baby is Poe Dameron. Which is not the most ridiculous thing, but I think they might come back to that someday.
Maybe. I just like the fact that it shows that the universe will continue. There is hope. Rebellions are built on hope. And that last shot to me shows the hope of, look, Bix was all in as well. And Cassian Andor and Bix, their love transcended this rebellion, and their child will go on after it's over. And I thought that was fairly
fought and died for.
I would hope
it showed what he fought and died for.
Yeah, I would hope that they leave that alone, because why make the universe small? And if they do go back to it, make that a new character. Maybe Tony Gilroy can go in and that character and he can retcon this terrible sequel trilogy and make that character somebody brand new who really restores the galaxy or something.
Or it was just like you're pointing out to show that he dies, but he saved her and his child by doing what he did.
That the universe goes on.
Yeah. Guys, we could honestly...
In a way, that was the triumph. That was Cassian Andor's triumph, is that he loved her, he protected her, he was with her, he helped her get over that trauma and take her revenge, and she carries on his legacy with his child, with their child, with a child that was born of love and rebellion.
Anyway, guys, we could honestly sit here and talk for the next 3 hours about Andor, but we do have other things to discuss. So the question is, what did you think about the finale of Andor? I thought it was straight up a masterpiece, and I don't throw that word around. I do not throw the word masterpiece around, I think this show was a masterpiece. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there.